Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hope is Not a Tactic. With me, I'm your host, Lieutenant Joe. So we talk about everything safety and security for all our facilities, whether it's schools, businesses, churches, summer camps, whatever it is. I go anywhere to try and help people to be safe. One of the things that has caught a lot of attention recently, if you're a member of the New York State School Boards Association, NISCUS, I wrote an article recently about the value of understanding, being able to interpret drawings, writings, journaling, social media posts about student safety and security. So when you see a student journaling something that's scary, or they journal something that's that sounds cryptically dangerous, like we see lots of times that these young people do, how do you interpret that? What do you do with that information? So a couple of basics. When you see a drawing or a doodle by a student, you want to understand what is in the doodle and what is it trying to depict. All right. So if you think about first person type of stuff. So this goes for anything, for reading something that somebody has written or posted or drawn or whatever, if they are in it, if they are part of the expression, whether it be a drawing or a journal or a post or whatever, if the young person who did this is in there, then you have to say to yourself, that's a little more concerning than if it was not. So here's two examples. And I'll show this in a future episode. I was a school security director, and I was called to another district, and they said this freshman boy had drawn this picture. Now, I had given done a program for the local school staffs in the area on understanding, interpreting these kind of things. And this young man had drawn a picture of a bunch of people getting shot, stabbed, all kinds of things. And in the top, he titled it a kill list. Now, what was important is that eventually he crossed out kill list and he put plan, which tells us that he thought about it. It went from a kill list, an idea of people he didn't like that he wanted to kill for whatever reason, to a kill plan, which means he had some movement in his thought. There was some time down the road he started thinking about this, and he was starting to develop his plan. And he wrote in there was a big word, how, H-O-W, and he circled it with a question mark. And he answered that in writing by saying a gun. So he had a kill plan, how, by a gun. Right? So he was answering his own questions. How am I going to do this? How am I going to kill these people that I don't like in my school? I will use a gun. So you see, there's a lot of thought going on here in this kid's head. He's moving forward with his thoughts. That's dangerous. Now, the next thing, in the corner, there was a picture. It looked like a cage, and there was 4 people in it. And one was Misery, named Misery. One was Sue. One was Mean, and the other one was Outrageous or something like that. They gave them names, which was important later on in the discussion. So I got a call from the teacher who found this and took the picture and called. And I said, I'll be right over. Go find that student, separate him from his backpack, and isolate him. So the school did all that. And I got there and I started talking to this kid. And I said, did you draw this? And he says, yes, I did. And you could see he was a little upset. He was almost crying. And I said, well, what does this mean? A kill plan? He goes, well, I hate those people, and they treated me very badly, and they should die. And I said, okay, well, what's this cage? Who is that? And he goes, those are the people that should die. Now, he had been in a long-term science project with these kids. He wasn't a bullied kid. He wasn't a bully. He was simply someone who was ostracized in this group. There was 5 of them, and the other kids didn't like him. He was a little different, and the kids just didn't like him. Well, he had that kind of treatment from most of the people in the school. He was a little different. He was a little off. Kids are trying to find who they are early in life, in elementary school, middle school, high school. And they didn't like him. They ostracized him, and it really hurt his feelings, made him feel bad. And I guess he got that treatment from lots of people. So I said, okay, well, I'm looking at this here, and who is Misery? And he says, well, that's the one boy in the group. he's miserable. He makes me feel miserable. And who is the next one, whatever it was. And it was another emotion he used to label him. When I got to Sue, it said Sue. I said, Sue, who's Sue who? He goes, no, not Sue. She wasn't bad. She should just go to jail for the way she treated me. So he wanted to sue her, right? You get the idea? And then I looked around at all the drawings all the way around this picture, and there was pictures of kids getting shot. Oh no, getting shot, stabbed, knocked down, all that kind of thing. And in the middle, at the very center, was a picture of a young person laying very large in the picture, laying there with X's in their eyes. Now, we all know X's in the eyes means you're dead, right? So I asked him who those people were that were getting shot. He goes, that's all of them. That's what should happen to them. And I said, who's that in the middle? And he said, that's me. After I kill them, I'm going to kill myself. I can't take this anymore. So obviously that young man was taken out for psychiatric help. He didn't come back to the school district. He was homeschooled, specialized school, whatever. By the time I left the district several years later, his parents still contacted me, and they said he had gotten the mental health he needed, and nobody thinks he's a danger anymore. He was just in a really bad place. So the whole idea of doodling, drawing, and looking at stuff, that drawing was the scariest thing I've ever seen as a safety and security expert, because that kid was a shooter. He had access to guns, and no matter what people tell you, they have access to guns. They'll find a way to get them. Most people, younger people, when they get their guns, they either get it from home where they're not secured. They have them themselves in their rooms, or they get them from friends. They steal them from a friend's house, or a friend gives them a gun, sells them a gun. I investigated a very, very interesting homicide back in the day when I was a police detective. There was a kid named Rainbow, and that's his real name, Rainbow. His mom was, from the 60s, and, Rainbow was, that was his name. Well, she got into a conflict with Rainbow over he wanted to get his driver's license. He wanted to run down to the DMV and get his driver's license, but it was a holiday, and the DMV was closed. And his mother said, they're closed today. We'll go tomorrow. He's, I want to go today. I want to drive today. I want to get my license. I want to drive today. He was very insistent. And she said, well, we can't go today. They're closed and you're not going to get it. Well, later that day, he was so enraged that he couldn't have the, now obviously he had other problems. He got a handgun from a friend of his who sold it to him for $50. He went home while his mother was watching TV. He shot her in the head 6 times and killed her. So they get guns from other people, not just in their own home. So we have to be careful. This is not an anti-gun thing. I'm a retired cop. I carry a gun. I had guns around me my whole life. We have to be safe with our weapons. And that's sometimes what people are not so safe with. So when we look at these things, what kids draw, what they say, what they do, that is very, very important for us to pay close attention to. So in a future episode, I'm actually going to run the program. I think it's probably going to be a little bit longer. I'll let everybody know when it's coming. So that you can block out the time. It's about a 45-minute program, but there'll be pictures. I'll show you some of these pictures and whatnot. The last thing I'll talk about with that, and while that drawing that kid made was very scary and actually was his plan, then I had another teacher reach out to me, I don't know, a couple months later and say, oh my gosh, this kid was drawing this. Now, what he had drawn was, you ever see the Kool-Aid guy? The jar, he's the jar, and he goes, oh yeah, and he busts through walls and all that stuff. He had drawn a picture of that, and there was a picture of a person smashing him open, and his juice was flying out. And the teacher saw that and was, oh my gosh, that's violence, and called me. And I came over and I talked to the kid, and I said, did you draw that? Yes, I did. I said, and who is that? And he goes, that's that Kool-Aid guy. He's annoying, man, right? Coming through the wall. Oh yeah, doing all that stuff. I said, and who's that with the hammer down there smashing him? He goes, I don't know, just some guy sick of his stuff, man, smashing him. The juice disappears, then he'll go away. I said, that's not you? He goes, no, that's not me. That's a cartoon, man. That's just a cartoon, right? So that was strange humor. But being able to decipher from one to the other is extremely important. And then the things that kids write. So here's a sentence that I saw once in a kid who was in crisis, mental crisis, had written down, I'm sick of this. I don't want to do it anymore. Now, I ask everybody when I go out and do my lectures, and I say, what can that mean? I'm sick of this. I don't want to do it anymore. And some people say, oh, it sounds like they want to kill themselves. It certainly could sound like that, and that's something you should consider. It can also mean, I am sick and tired of French class. I don't like it and I don't want to do it anymore. The key is for us as professionals, no matter what we do, teacher, administrator, police officer, whatever, is to ask the follow-up questions to try and figure out what it is the person wrote and why they wrote it. All right. We find those things out. We can say, hey, here's something we should be concerned about and follow up. Or in other things, we can say, don't draw pictures like that. Don't say things like that in school. It's not smart. All right. So that's the whole idea of drawings, postings, all that kind of stuff. Expressions that people make, we have to interpret them for violence. And if there's violence in their expression and it's first person, we need to be very, very concerned and take it to the next level. So I have a matrix that I created for my school district that I will share with you in an upcoming episode to help you decide, how do you escalate this? Is this something for the administrators to take care of? Is this something you call the police immediately? What is it that you do? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. Hope is not a tactic. I want to especially thank our sponsors, riottint.com. I'll put all the information in the show information where you see this, how you can reach out to them. That stuff is so inexpensive compared to other things you could get for school safety and security. And it is probably one of the best things to protect you from an external threat, somebody trying to get into your school to hurt you. Blue360media.com. Right now, they do everything for lawyers and law enforcement, but we are adding school safety and security probably early in 2025. And then I want to thank medicalessentialdiagnostics.com. Go find your teachers, school people. You're eligible for their services, no cost to you. You and 2 adults in your house can get screened in one of their 6 locations. Find out if there's something wrong before it takes you out. All right, this is Lieutenant Joe for Hope is Not a Tactic. Remember, be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Like us, subscribe, share, let everybody know. We're trying to keep people safe here, and we do this together. Have a great day. Lieutenant Joe and the Blue Heart Podcast Network would like to thank our sponsors. Blue 360 Media. You can find them at www.blue360media.com. And Medical Essential Diagnostics. You can find them at www.med-nj.com. We would also like to thank the Blue Heart Network production team, led by Senior Executive Director Todd Pangaro. Be careful out there. Do what's right.